Ross, you named in your presentation that values determine logistics, and you spoke about that in terms of how we tend to our LGBTQ plus youth and their allies. Can you say more for our listeners here about what you mean by that?
Sure. Yeah, there's been sort of this process, well, we've always done it this way, right? And there's a lot of assumptions that go into the rules that we set, the programs that we do, the way we divide up groups, right? All those things sort of like have been informed by a big set of assumptions. And the the inclusion of LGBTQ youth can sometimes like force us to challenge those assumptions, like, oh, the way I've done things don't work when I have this youth that doesn't fit expectations, that only boys only like girls and girls only like boys and boys are all the same thing and girls are all the same thing, right? And so people come to us a lot with like, well, what am I supposed to do about this youth that wants to be a part of my program? That's a little like kind of why I wrote the book in the first place. And so then there's a step back into, let's go back and talk about what's ultimately and really important. And it means doing an examination, an evaluation, a really like good critical lens of what assumptions inform the way we do things. And that helps us to go back to like what's really important to us. And so then values becomes the way we kind of give a lens of, do we want to modify something? Is there an old process that we just need to throw out entirely? Are there things that say, no, this actually still works and it still ups our values, right? And so, faithfulness is absolutely a value, especially for our churches and places that are doing youth ministry. Safety is one of those other big ones, right? Privacy, comfort, that discernment can be like, right. But, and we sort of say there's not just like universal values that like we all absolutely value the same thing in the same way. As Christians, there are probably some things that are fairly universal. And yet, if we look at our own congregations, we can really, really value liturgy and worship. We can really, really value family and youth and children support. We can really, really value community and small groups. We can really, really value social justice, and say that's us as a congregation. So let's take those values and also run those through how we do our youth ministry, with LGBTQ youth being included there. And that also can not even just tweak or throw out something, but sometimes enhance the work that we're doing and make us live into those values even further.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate this a lot. And it's part and parcel to what we talk about a lot in church world, which is having a sense of one's mission and vision. And it's like, okay, we know what we want to believe in. We know what our foundation is. So the question is, how are we going to do it? Right. It's not the backwards way of saying this is how we do it, therefore this is what we believe. No, it's okay, if we believe in safety and we believe in a welcoming stance, that should drive the bathroom conversation or sleeping arrangements, which you talked about in your presentation. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I think I said it this way in the presentation too. It is not how do we cram people into the processes and values and rules that we have, not rules that we have, but like, how do our rules and processes and ways that we operate, how do they minister to people? And I think, safety comes with an assumption. Safety for an LGBTQ youth is a different type of experience, or a consideration, I guess is a good way to think about it. And sometimes when you do that work of like, what does safety for LGBTQ youth look like, might figure out how to be a better, safer program for everybody, because we never just thought about some of this stuff before. And so that introduction of LGBTQ youth can sometimes be really beneficial to everybody else in the program.
Yep. Yeah, thank you.